Oh, you damn right. Let's go house divided on a Friday. Hope you guys are having a great week, getting ready for a weekend. First and foremost, thank you for putting up with some of the things this week, trying to catch a little time off, and shows might be in slightly different places. But remember, once the shows are posted, you can find House Divided in that House Divided section on Orange Bloods Live. You can also find it in the videos section if it's something where we had to record ahead of time, and always check that live tab as well. There's all kinds of places to get content. We appreciate you doing it. I'm Chad Hastings. Don't worry. It will not be too heavily an Aggie House Divided today. No yell practice because of that guy right there, Jason Sukamel, orangebloods.com. He's going to make sure. He's a Longhorn. He's going to make sure.
I actually have my degree on the wall behind me, Chad.
See? Right.
Enough grief that I finally hung my degree up on the wall. So
he's going to make sure I don't get too crazy. I had 3 poems to read. All of them were about Dat Win, and now I won't do any of them because Jason said no. That's right.
Jason, that cancel button immediately.
That's right. Jason said absolutely not. All right. First and foremost, let's shout out Texas Card House. You see their logo all the time while the show is running. They are our sponsor, but they also bring you Hijack Poker. Got to be in the state of Texas to play online poker. You might end up at a virtual table with Mr. Ketchum or Mr. Dunlap or one of the great Orange Bloods folks. I know Tom G jumps into that.
Or my cousin who won $100,000 tournament on at Texas Card House down in Houston, by the way.
See? There you go. Oh, now sounds like that's a guy we got to be worried about, Jason.
Yeah, you don't want to be in a room with him. And he came in like another one. He came in, I think, second, Chad. So he knows what he's doing, man.
Good grief. Hijackpoker.com. Get the app, put it on whatever device you want. And again, you can cash out and deposit at those locations. You can also deposit all kinds of easy ways. Just check them out. Hijackpoker.com. All right, so we're going to roll through a Friday show. We've got some recruiting updates. We've got some good war room note or two to talk about. Plus, Jason is a Yankees guy, and I'm going to try to get a little bit of baseball talk out of him at the end of the show. We'll get to all of that, but let's go ahead and start, Jason, with a little bit of recruiting stuff. We always tell people to check orangebloods.com out. There's all kinds of stuff there. Let me just throw the QR code up. The war rooms come out on Thursday nights. We're going to hit a little bit from that today, but we can't obviously hit it all. Go check it out. And then also the Truth and Lies article that has started at Orange Bloods just in the last couple months. It's really interesting this week, and we're going to grab a couple things from that. So, Jason, where I want to start today is a rare spot. It's a spot where I might actually have had a feeling that was accurate. So Jeff and I are talking earlier in the week, and we're talking about big recruits. And he was talking about, we went over some of the big 5-stars and where was Texas on those guys. And Ketch was pointing out, hey, doesn't look terrific on every single one of them. He wishes for Texas's sake, if, they were higher up on a little more. And Jamarion Carlton's name came up. And I said, hey, Ketch, until somebody tells me that one's dead, I'm not going to say it's dead because he's that good and he's from Temple. And then literally a day later, I see something from you that made me think, oh, how about that? So let's get the update here, Jason, because this is a badass edge rusher, edge number 4 in the country, from what I'm seeing here, from Rivals, from Temple. What is the update? Because I think the last time you and I talked about it, and it may have been on the Recruiting Hour, brought to you by Longhorn Wealth Management on Wednesdays, premieres at 10 a.m. Last time we talked about him, I know you didn't have a great feeling necessarily at that moment about Texas. Has something changed?
Well, first off, what's the saying? Even a broken clock is right twice a day or something like that. So,
That's
right. Good on you, Chad, for being ahead on the Jamarion Carlton news. But Jamarion, he's number 46 nationally. You mentioned it. I mean, he's in that 5-star discussion. So he's a big time player, right? If he moves up the rankings 15 or so spots, he'll be a 5-star eventually. So big time news. His recruitment's been really interesting. Early on, Chad, I'm going back seriously, like a year ago. I think it was the first time I interviewed him. It was in person. He came to one of these UT summer recruiting events, like a pool party or something. Loved it. Loved Texas. Came back multiple times after that. But things kind of cooled between Jamarion Carlton and Texas, to the point Texas had kind of, they're always being mentioned, right? But they were kind of just on the fringe of his recruitment, if you will. He was invited back down on campus in April when Texas had a bunch of guys come in for a spring scrimmage. Jamarian came in for that scrimmage, but he didn't go to the scrimmage. He showed up late. Every other recruit came in and went to the scrimmage. Jamarian showed up late, so he didn't get to go to the scrimmage, but he got a little bit of time with Sark. He got a little bit of time with Alan Clark, the new edge coach at Texas. And that's the key. I want to reiterate, Alan Clark, the new edge coach at Texas. He's really ramped things up again, okay? During that visit, Jamarian told me he had official visits set up to Texas A&M, SMU, Baylor. He took one to Texas Tech already. But that was it. No Texas official visit. His month of June was booked up, probably wasn't going to take a Texas visit. The big news you're referencing this week, he switched it up. He is going to visit Texas the first weekend of June. He bumped SMU out, so he's no longer visiting SMU. So suddenly the Longhorns are trending up in this one. They're back in the race. Now, I'm kind of like you. I've always thought, hey, if the Texas staff really pushed here, and for whatever reason, they kind of backed off for a little while there. But I've always thought early on, I mean, listen, I've got my future cast in for Texas. If I look, I put it in February of this year, a future cast in favor of Texas, right? So
yeah, we've talked about this dude a few times. Yeah.
It looked like I was going to have to change that here recently, but now I'm going to keep it on Texas until I have a feeling of otherwise. So, I mean, I'm not saying Texas is the team to beat as we sit here and talk today on a Friday. Okay. But I think if they keep staying in touch with him, if once they bring him in for that official visit, I think Texas can very easily move to the front of this race again. So suddenly Texas is very much a player for Jamarian Carlton.
Yeah. And again, for me, I'll just keep going back to those two data points. Either one of them would make me think Texas is not going to be out until the very end. You tell me either he's that good or you tell me he's from Temple. But when you combine those two things, it just you keep coming back to, and I think of it sometimes from that family discussion. We've had those discussions where as it's getting later in the run and you're really starting to think about it. Like I've got a kid literally right now, Jason, that's about to graduate, head off to college, and I can watch her face when she talks about it sometimes. You get freaked out a little bit about, wait, I'm really going? Like, really? I don't get to sleep here for the next 3? No, you don't. You're going to have to go figure it out. It's going to hit the kid, but it's going to hit the family. And at some point they might want to go, oh, wait, yeah, it's Austin's just right there. I just keep thinking about that in terms of the family stuff.
I mean, not even probably to downtown Austin from Temple, maybe an hour, if that, right? So, which is ironic. Chad, later today, my wife and I are going to go stop through San Marcos and see my son, who's a student down at Texas State. And, it's about an hour drive and it's great, man. We're going to just meet him at a coffee shop on our way to San Antonio and see him for 5 minutes, whatever we can get out of him. We'll take it. And then the other side of the coin, and it's not recruiting related. My daughter, who's the same deal as we're talking about Jamarian, she's an hour down the road. She's a freshman, just finished her freshman year. She's now moved back home for the summer because she had to leave her dorm. So it's kind of weird. And I'm like, hey, you glad to be home? She's like, nope, not really. No, thanks. So
which in a way is good, right?
Yeah,
Jason?
yeah. Hey, they're spreading their wings, right? My son is staying down in San Marcos for the summer, but there is some comfort. Like I always say, when I went to college, I went to the University of Texas, as we talked about. I was about 2.5, 3 hours, kind of in that range from my hometown. And it was perfect, dude, because I was far enough away where I had independence, but close enough. Same, we're talking about Jamarian. If he's close enough, he can pop home for a day trip, even if he wanted to, or just, hey, Mom, I want to come up for and have dinner or do some laundry or whatever. So, but you're far enough away where you still have some independence. So, and I mean, A&M's kind of the same deal. I mean, Lubbock's a bit of a haul for Jamarian, or Baylor. Baylor's another school he's planning on visiting. So Baylor's right there in his backyard. But yeah, I mean, Texas, in to me, A&M too, a little bit too. Those are kind of in that sweet spot where they're just far enough away, but also just close enough to home. So ultimately, I think this thing will come down to Texas and Texas A&M. My question is, I feel pretty good about saying, hey, Texas was the leader at some point. Did they fall back so much where it's going to be hard to overtake A&M now? I don't know the answer to that. We'll have a better feel after he takes his official visits.
There you go. Could end up being a house divided matchup for
another one I need to mention. I've mentioned Baylor, Louisiana State. LSU is still in play.
Okay, still in play. So keep an eye on Jamarian Carlton. Obviously, that's a guy Texas wants to make the argument we were just making. the close to home argument. This next guy we're going to talk about, Texas needs to not make the close to home argument. It's the no, you come over and see us argument. We're going to get to that guy. Let me first mention a little Rogue Shop. You've heard Ketch talk about Rogue Shop plenty and all the things they have. As Ketch talks about it, there's two things that have been blinking to me in Rogue. If I'm ever going to enter the Rogue world, there's two things he said that get my attention. One, they have Skittles. That's about all you have to say to me. And two, Jason, I found out they have hot chocolate. So, okay, wait a second.
Keep my kids away from Rogue Shop.
Right? I mean, come on now. I'm telling you, if there are original Skittles near me, I'm going to have them. So if there's those kind of Skittles out there.
My 13-year-old's going to be like, Dad, why are you eating so many Skittles? Like,
yeah. Don't ask. But it is available. Check out Rogue Shop. And like I always say, that website is about as thorough as any you'll see. So many different products, so many different ideas, right down to maybe anxiety stuff for your dog. Yes, and I'm not kidding. So check them out at Rogue Shop. All right, Jason. So let's talk about not only is this guy a different story in terms of the long distance, it's a different story as to how he gets back, how Texas gets back in it. With Carlton, it's just Texas getting back in the discussions like you talked about and getting the official visit. This has got a decommitment in it. Tell the people about Xavier Griffin. I'm not sure we've talked much about him either on the Recruiting Hour or other places, maybe a mention or two, but let's get a Xavier Griffin update here because something big just happened that could be good for Texas.
Yeah, we did talk about him once, but I think it was only once because that was all that was necessary at the time. I'm going to actually, while we're sitting here, Chad, breaking news, I'm putting in a FutureCast prediction for Texas for Xavier Griffin. So I am predicting him to go to Texas. And I wrote in our war room on Thursday night. Go check that out if you're a subscriber to Orange Bloods. If not, sign up. Go check it out. I had a pretty interesting Xavier Griffin note in there that, hey, I think things look really good for Texas all of a sudden. So he's from Georgia. For some reason, I always want to say he's from California, but he's not. He's from Georgia, but he was committed to USC. So that's why I always had this California thing in my head. But he decommitted, Chad, on Wednesday from USC. And he set up official visits. Let me make sure I get these right. He's got Ohio State May 30th, Alabama June 7th, Texas June 13th, and then Florida State June 15th, which I don't know how that's going to happen. If he's going to fly straight from Austin to Tallahassee, we'll see. But so he dumps USC, and now he's focused on these four schools. Well, the buzz that I heard on Thursday afternoon is like, hey, dude, it's going to be Texas. There's word kind of trickling around certain circles in Georgia that it's very likely going to be Texas. Now, he did say, he told Rivals.com on Thursday night, he had a spring football game, that he still wants to take his official visits. He's still open to all these schools. There's some thought that Alabama might be a player there. Ohio State's kind of got his interest. But, man, I'm telling you, the things I'm hearing, like, it wouldn't shock me if he committed before his official visits. I think it's trending. I'll be honest, Chad. I've got a commitment story written and ready in case this thing pops this weekend or something. I'm not saying it's going to, but if it does, I want to be prepared. So I think it's trending Texas that strongly. And this one's really interesting to me. I'll tell you, and this is where we talked about it. I'm pretty sure we did. He visited Texas in April. It was April 12th, okay, on an unofficial visit. Another one of these weekends where Texas had a bunch of guys come in for a scrimmage, Longhorn city limits, they call it. They come in, see a scrimmage, talk to the coaches, do all that stuff. Well, he was leaving campus in Alan Clark, the Texas edge coach. Again, I mean, tremendous recruiter. This guy's really aggressive. He was walking him out. And someone, I don't know who it was taking a picture of Xavier Griffin, like one of his family members or friends. Mm-hmm. And this is when he's committed to USC still, remember?
Yeah.
So they're smiling, getting ready to take the picture. Well, he tries to slip in the V for the USC hand sign. And Alan Clark saw it, and he's like, no. He jumped, he's being silly. He kind of jumped out of the picture. He's like, I'm not taking a picture with that. So then they got back together and took a normal picture. But after that, I was like, okay, that dude's not going. And he even said, like, no, I'm still locked into USC. And like, this didn't move the needle a whole lot for me. So after that, I was like, yeah, that one's probably not going to happen, right? Well, now all of a sudden, he and USC have parted ways. What was it that caused that parting of ways? I think it was, Xavier Griffin wanted to take visits, and USC said, hey, we don't want you to. Let's see what we can do, NIL, whatever, to shut it down where you don't take visits. He said, no, I still want to take these visits. They said, okay, then you go your way, we'll go ours. So it was kind of a mutual parting of ways almost is what I heard. But whatever the reason, it's good news for Texas. I mean, he's a Rivals 100 member. We've got him listed as a linebacker, 6'4", 205 pounds. He is a linebacker / edge guy, super twitchy, super quick, can make plays just in the backfield. Again, former USC commitment. Now, I'm almost saying future Texas commitment. I mean, and this thing could take some turns. Obviously, it's been a kind of a kooky recruitment, right? But I think right now Texas is the clear team to beat.
That's interesting. And we are recording this show and it debuts on this Friday, of course. I wonder if is it one of those Friday? It seems like there's a weird pattern where Texas maybe Friday afternoons where it's a news dump in a way, but it's like a really good news dump.
It's happened 2 Fridays in a row. And you know what? The last time I went to San Antonio, I'm going to San Antonio today with my wife. We're like, you know what? It's been a long couple months. We just need to clear our heads. Let's get away for a night. The last time I tried to go to San Antonio and clear my head, I think they had 3 or 4 portal commitments. I was literally on my phone the whole time. I was just sitting there posting stories from the Riverwalk. So who knows? Maybe today's an omen, dude. It's a Friday. I'm going to San Antonio. News may break. But you know what? This time I'm prepared. I've got a story written. So,
and just for the record, Jason, is there an official visit set for Xavier Griffin at this point or not?
Yeah, he's coming in the 13th. This is Texas official.
Oh, that June 13th. Okay, Texas fans. So June 6th, the group now involves Jamarion Carlton. That's a big one to watch. And now the group on June 13th, which just gets bigger and bigger and more important, includes Xavier Griffin. So
that's the reason I need to get away and do absolutely nothing this weekend.
That's right. Well, you need to chill out right now.
Insane, dude. Like the first 3 weekends are going to be insane with official visitors. Obviously, I'll be covering them. I'll be covering them. And then that last weekend, Chad, the official visitors fly out on Sunday. What is that, the 22nd, I think? And then guess what? I fly out on Sunday to fly up to Indianapolis to then cover the Rivals 5-star camp. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be like ready to jump off a building by the end of June. So
no rest for the weary. Recruiting never stops. That's what we always say.
Never stops.
Every week when we do that recruiting show brought to you by
Can I tell a funny story? You've heard this, but the viewers. So you say recruiting never stops. I told you my daughter's home from college, right? I'm going to get to see her all summer. But I said, hey, we haven't really, let's go to lunch on Wednesday it was, I think. I said, let's go to lunch on Wednesday. So me, my wife, and my daughter go to lunch, and I see these messages pop up, and then Ketchum calls me, and it's like, hey, Texas picked up a commitment. And I'm like, I just sat down at lunch. So I was like, okay, I'll handle it on my phone. Jermaine Bishop, of course, is the commitment. And so they bring out my daughter's plate of food, my wife's plate of food, and the manager from this restaurant comes out to me and says, hey, I'm so sorry. I ordered a Reuben sandwich, nothing crazy. He goes, we dropped your sandwich. And he goes, it's going to take us a little bit to remake it. And I'm like, just cancel it. You know what? Just cancel it. I've got to get out of here. I've got work that popped up. I was like, what the hell else can go wrong? But the dude was super cool. He's like, give me 5 minutes. I'll make it for you to go. I won't charge you for it. So I said, okay, I'll wait 5 minutes. And he did. Like within 5 minutes, he had to be a sandwich tagged up to go. And he even gave me a $10 gift card to come back again. So, but it was just like, oh my God, that's my day in a nutshell. I'm like, I'm trying to sit down and have lunch with my daughter, and they drop my effing sandwich when I'm in a huge hurry to have lunch already. So
hey, but good on that place for telling you, because if you didn't see it happen, they could have tried to play it off. They could have brought you. They could have brought you a floor, Reuben, and you could never known. But they didn't do that. So good for that.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I wasn't mad at the dude. I'm like, hey, that stuff happens. I get it. The timing just happened to suck when I'm trying to get home to work on some commitment stuff. But I was like, yeah, man, I get it. Stuff happens. But they made it worth my time, so it was okay.
There you go. And again, let me remind you, check out orangebloods.com, not only for all the good recruiting stuff, the Truth and Lies column, it features the updates on the 2 guys we just talked about, Carlton and Griffin, but there's more in there from other guys. Again, we can't go through everything in these articles for multiple reasons. One of them is we want you to sign up for orangebloods.com and go check it out. But also check out the War Room every Thursday night, news and nuggets, the latest that all the guys are hearing. And Jason, I want to get your thoughts on a couple quick notes. And I'm a believer in you got to block and tackle. So let's talk blocking and tackling. First up, on the blocking side, Alex had a couple, and in both of these notes, shout out to Alex Dunlap for both of these notes. But Alex is hearing from sources around the team, they're really digging this offensive line. And I know there's been some concern among Texas fans. Clearly, when you lose the talent of Banks and a couple of those other guys, what is it? I guess technically 4 starters off the line. There's been some worry, but with Gooseby and these guys coming in, it feels, and guys that are filling in, obviously, that have already been here, feels like they're really enjoying the offensive line. That would give me some confidence if I'm a Texas fan.
Yeah, that was interesting to read. I mean, even for me, I mean, yes, we communicate as a staff things we're hearing, but sometimes when Alex sends in his war room or Anwar or whatever, like it's news to me when I read it. I'm like, oh, okay, that was, I hadn't heard that. So the quote is, I mean, direct quote from Alex's source, quote, the OL is good. They gave the defense good looks all spring. And it's interesting. Trevor Gooseby almost feels like a returning starter, right? I know he started, 2 games is all, but he feels like a plug and play guy at left tackle. They've got some experience. I mean, Cole Hudson started as a freshman. DJ Campbell's obviously a returning starter. So, yeah, you are breaking in a lot of new parts, and there are some unknowns, but there is still some experience. I mean, but that was interesting because to me, that was one of the big question marks going into the spring, even coming out of the spring. Hey, is this O-line going to be SEC ready? And like Alex points out in his write-up, are they going to be able to do what is arguably the most important aspect of this team, protect Arch Manning, right? So, I mean, this is a lot of pressure on this offensive line. Well, in Kyle Flood, I trust, man. Fantastic coach, fantastic recruiter, fantastic evaluator. So it just speaks to what he's been able to do, not just with those frontline guys, but behind the scenes, guys like Andre Kojo and some of these other guys, Nick Brooks, the freshman tackle as well. So, we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding. Chad, we've heard this before. I'm going back pre-Kyle Flood, but we've heard this before. Like, oh, that offensive line looks really good. And then the season starts, you're like, what the hell was that talk? So
right.
Was that because the defensive line was in practice was not good? I don't know. But, the proof will be in the pudding, but it's very much a positive report. And that's what you want to hear coming out of spring football. So, yeah, kudos to Kyle Flood. Looks like he's got this thing moving along, pretty well-oiled machine at this point.
And I'm glad you said it the way you did, Jason, where it is always that balance of, wait, if the offensive line looks good, is that because they're good or because of what they're facing? So on the other side of it, I thought it was interesting. Alex also had a note about the defensive line, interior defensive line, which we've all been wondering, okay, who are the 2 guys in Columbus? That's what I've been thinking about because we're just over 100 days away as we're recording this show from that game. And you don't get any time to ease in. There's no UTEP, San Jose State, Sam Houston before it. Those are after. You got to have somebody ready to go in Columbus. According to Alex's source, right now, it would be Brevard that transferred from Purdue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
And one of the later guys, one of the spring guys, Murad Watson, the guy they got from Syracuse. Right now, he's being told that, and is the phrase pretty easily, was that it at the end of that? Yeah. Says this person believes those are your 2 interior D-line starters pretty easily. And maybe I'm letting those 2 words do some heavy lifting, but at least right now, if you're a Texas fan, that's what you need to know. At least one thought, inside the team is those are the 2 guys. I thought that was interesting as well, Jason.
Yeah, and Murad Watson you know what? He was one of the guys who tormented me with a commitment while I was on the Riverwalk. So that's
right. He's one of those guys that does not value your downtime.
That's true. Right. Come on, Murad. I don't know you, but come on, show me a little respect. But, I don't think it's a surprise that Murad Watson is kind of being penciled in as a starter. I think he was viewed that way when they were very briefly were recruiting, and that thing moved so quickly. But, I don't think he's probably, we need to look into this as an Orange Bloods collectively. Like those guys probably are moving in pretty soon. Like they usually move in like mid-May. So, once they get their semester up at Syracuse or whatever. So those late arrivals he's probably on his way or heading to Austin or whatever pretty soon. So, he'll get acclimated. He'll have all summer to go through, off-season workouts. Obviously he'll have fall camp before the season starts, gives him about a month's worth of practices. So, I fully expect Murad Watson to be a starter. The Cole Brevard stuff has been pretty interesting. It sounds like of the is it 5? I think 5 defensive tackles that they brought in through the portal.
I believe you're right. Yep.
So that's a crazy number, but it sounds like Cole Brevard of the ones that have been on campus in the spring, maybe took a step ahead of the other guys. Not a huge surprise. he's kind of a guy that I think most of us would have picked of that bunch to do so. But yeah, and it gives Texas some options. They've still got some young guys like Alex January, gives them some depth and some rotation, which you're going to need, man. We've seen that with Texas and the SEC. You can't just have two badasses. I mean, you got to have two badasses and then a couple guys who can come in and give those guys some breathers from time to time. So Texas has a lot of numbers suddenly. A position, you talk about a position that was a weakness. We talked about the offensive line maybe being not a weakness, but a question mark. The interior of the defensive line was a weakness going into this.
No
and
doubt.
Now it looks like, I'm not going to call it a strength, Chad, because that's not what Alex is reporting. He's just saying, hey, these two guys are going to be.
These would be the ones, right?
Right. But it looks like some of maybe the concern has been alleviated to some degree.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, too. Texas fans have no information to go off of based on a spring game. Sometimes spring game can tell you a little bit of that, where you go, man, that D-line looked good. It's like, yeah, but was it just because the offensive line wasn't great? So you're not going to get – that's the crazy part. You're not going to get that sort of thing in your mind played out until the horseshoe. And that's just a wild way to find out. It's
we sure aren't getting open practices in the fall. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. When do we really get to find out if we can block and tackle? I don't know. Columbus? Okay. All right. That's kind of the way it works sometimes. So just keep that in mind, but also check out orangebloods.com for the very latest in the War Room every Thursday night. There's a lot of great stuff in there this week. Anwar had a great note on NIL moving forward that I think we're going to be discussing in shows moving forward as well. There's a lot of great stuff in the War Room. All right. Before we wrap things up, I do want to see if I can make y'all hungry with a little Hays City store. Jason was talking about getting away, right? Get away, clear your mind. This is one of my favorite places to do it. You're out in Driftwood, FM 150. Don't be in a hurry. Do not be in a hurry unless you live like 2 minutes away. Never be in a hurry going to Hays City store, and you can have some incredible food. In fact, today, I'm going to show you all 3 stages. How about starting with a big old pile of onion rings? Huh? Look at those bad boys. Golden brown anyway, plus they put them in the sun. We're talking big, thick cut, bad mama jamma onion rings. If that's your kind of onion ring, go drag one of these bad boys through some ketchup and tell me it didn't change your life. It's awesome. And they're so good and so fancy, you can make them part of your actual meal if you want. That is the blackened pork chop that I've been talking about. All right. I'll even move the QR code for a second. Look at that thing. Look at that pork chop. They got a grilled version. They've got a chicken fried version. And this might be my favorite. The blackened pork chop. Please tell them to bring a side of that cream gravy because it'll change your life too. And they threw in green beans in this picture to make you realize, yes, there's some do stuff that's good for you too. You can find a little bit of that out at Hays City store, but check out this last one. You want a dessert item? Look at this picture Travis sent me. Bourbon chocolate pecan pie. There you go. From stem to stern, from soup to nuts, they've got it all for you. One of my favorite restaurants on God's green earth. It is Hays City store. Get out to Driftwood. Tell them that you heard about it on Orange Bloods Live. There you go. Made you hungry.
I literally, while you were doing that live read, I just Google mapped how far is that from my house and how far is that from my son's apartment. I'm like, maybe we could meet there because it's kind of on the way to San Marcos a little bit, right? So
I'm telling you, Jason, I got a kid that's about to be going to Texas State. I'm going to suggest Hays City store every time we're going to meet her.
You, me, we'll meet all of our kids. Just, hey, let's have a big Hays City gathering at Hays City.
Right. We'll head south. You head a little bit north. Let's do it. Hays City store. That's what it's going to be. Shout out to them, one of our great partners around here. All right, Jason, before we wrap up, I need your help because I'm an old radio guy, right? I did radio for over 25 years. And if there's one topic that you can always discuss, it's one of my favorites. It's Pete Rose. And we've had an update, and you're a baseball fan. So here's my buy or sell for you. Buy or sell, Pete Rose has been removed from Major League Baseball's ineligible list. After all this time, you just don't care. Buy or sell?
I was going to buy that, but I'm going to sell it because if I say buy and then I talk for 5 minutes, and I obviously care, right? So I'm going to sell it. I do care a little bit, Chad. It's interesting. I've always been of the belief he should be in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. But I kind of changed my opinion this week. I think it's horse shit to do it after he's gone, right? He's deceased, and him and anybody else. And like people on Orange Bloods were talking about it, and a couple good points were brought up. People were like, "Hey, he only bet on his own team to win, right? So he didn't affect, he wasn't tanking games, because people are like, hey, that's the only way you could affect a game is if you bet on your team to lose, right? And then
right.
But someone said, no, that's not true. So like, if on Friday, if he knew he was Saturday, I'm getting all my words confused, but if he basically like pitched a pitcher a bunch of innings so he wouldn't be ready the next day, then the bookie would know, okay, hey, wait a second. I mean, they're just ways you can manipulate the system behind the scenes without actually betting on your team to lose. You can burn a relief pitcher's arm on Friday so he won't be available on Saturday. If you bet on your team 6 games in a row to win, and then you don't bet him on the 7th game, that might be a cue to your bookie. Bottom line is Pete Rose screwed the pooch. I mean, it's one of the cardinal sins in baseball. In baseball, probably has maybe too many unwritten rules, people might argue. I'm an old-fashioned guy, so like I kind of like some of the old written rules. I'm not a big fan of the flashy bat tosses and nowadays and all the shit talking that goes on. Hit your home run, be an Aaron Judge, drop your bat, keep your head down. If you want to praise the Lord or whatever, fine. But you don't need to show up people and do all that. So he screwed up. He broke one of the cardinal sins of baseball, and he never really fully admitted it or apologized or took ownership. He was just kind of an ass about it. So I don't think I want him in the Hall of Fame, if I'm being, and I know that's probably going to be an unpopular opinion. I know it will be, right? But I kind of have always been like, let him in. But there's a good discussion on Orange Bloods, and a few posters brought up some really good points. I was like, they make some good points about how he could manipulate games behind the scenes without betting against his team. So, and frankly, I'm not convinced anything he says was true anyways. I mean, who knows what the hell he was betting on. So, there were a million different things he could have bet on. It was a different time. Today, okay, fine. Betting is all over the place. You can't turn on the TV or turn on the radio without hearing advertisements for, daily fantasy. I mean, hell, we have a daily fantasy sponsor, Prize Picks, for Orange Blood. So it's all over the place nowadays. You could understand it a little bit more now. But back when he was playing and managing, I guess more specifically, that was one of the biggest sins in baseball. He broke it, dude. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Tough shit. You screwed up. You knew you were screwing up. You don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But I tell you who I feel more strongly about. I told you, damn right I care about this, right, Chad? I almost bought it that I don't care.
Yeah, this is definitely a sell. I can tell it's a sell.
Yeah, but you know who I feel more strongly should not be in the Hall of Fame? All the steroid users. Mark McGwire, I get it. You basically came out and said, I'm sorry, I screwed up. I don't care. I don't ever want you in. Barry Bonds, maybe the greatest hitter I've ever seen. Maybe the greatest hitter of all time, honestly. I don't care. I don't ever want him in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely not. Keep those dudes out.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a couple things, and I'm going to put a post up on orangebloods.com next week with some of my thoughts. But, and I like your comments. I like the discussion about the whole betting thing. But let's remember, betting for or against your team has nothing to do with that rule. It's the betting part. That's it. And
even if you're betting on another team, it's just you cannot bet if you're in baseball.
If you bet on a game you have anything to do with, as in you work for the team. If the secretary that answers the phone in Milwaukee bets on a Brewers game, that breaks the rule. Period. That's the first part. The second part, Jason, is I'm an OCD nerd. The fact that Rob Manfred is changing the definition of permanent does not make any sense to me. Like, you can't go from permanent to lifetime ban all of a sudden, because if Pete Rose had known he could get off that list by dying, Jason, he would have faked his death in the 90s. It would have already been done.
I read a column this week, and it had a bunch of Hall of Famers giving their thoughts on it. And I don't remember who it was, but it was someone who played with Pete Rose. And he's like, he would not want this at this point. He wouldn't even want to be in the Hall of Fame at this point after he's gone. Like, so
I don't buy that for a second.
Well,
I don't buy that for a second. Not 1
You're probably
second.
right. Yeah.
Not 1 second.
As hard as he fought and bitched about getting in, you're probably right, Chad.
It is a wild, wild thing. Definitely jump in on that discussion on orangebloods.com. I'll throw up something next week. It is, again, when you work in radio as long as I did, it's just in your blood, the Pete Rose discussion. I used to have a show that I would devote to Pete Rose once a summer just to do it, just to kind of work out those muscles. Like, it's one of the great sports talk discussions of all time. And now we actually have an update that I didn't expect. It involves a commissioner. It might actually involve the president of the United States at that moment. That's crazy. So the Pete Rose update, I just had to get a little bit of it out. I wanted to hear somebody talk about it.
Yeah, you got me on my soapbox, so that was a good question.
Yeah, and I knew you as a Yankee fan might be able to help me out. So thank you for that. One other quick one, Jason. Give me a thought on the hardwood. The Knicks end the series at Madison Square Garden tonight and take down the Celtics. Buy or sell?
Yeah, kudos to the Celtics for putting up a good fight in game 5, I guess, right?
Without Tatum.
Without Tatum. Yeah, exactly. I've really gotten into the NBA playoffs this year more than I normally do. Normally I watch when my Lakers were playing, but this year I've really gotten into and watched a lot of games. I watched the game last night, and but yeah, I'm going to buy that, Chad. I think the Knicks they've been tough. Their ability to close out games and come back, erase deficits has been impressive. So yeah, I think, Boston really upped its game, whatever it was, Wednesday night.
Yeah.
They might have exerted too much energy. I think the Knicks feed off that home crowd. I think they end it tonight. So, and I was thinking so who's in the other side of the East bracket?
Indiana's already through.
Indiana, that's right. So
yeah, Indiana's waiting.
It's crazy. I mean, Indiana and possibly the Knicks, and then you possibly have Denver if they can pull off the upset in Game 7.
But you could have you could have Minnesota OKC.
You could, and that's probably what I think will happen. But I mean, OKC, frankly, for the number 1 seed, they've had a pretty easy in terms of like the seeding. They haven't had to play a 2 seed or a 3 seed. But
right.
But if Denver can pull off that upset in Game 7, what is Denver, like the 4 or 5 seed? I don't remember. OKC
Denver is it's 3 or 4.
And OKC, I think, is a 6 seed, and then the Knicks or whatever, a 3 seed or whatever, possibly playing against Indiana, who's
right. Well, remember,
this is weird to not have a lot of 1s and 2s in there. But
OKC is the 1 seed.
Well, I'm saying if they lose,
Oh, if they lost. Oh, I see what you're saying.
If Denver was the 1, you'd have a bunch of 4, 5, 6 seeds playing in the conference finals, which is very rare because almost always the 1 seeds usually are the ones that make it to the finals. Yeah.
And from another perspective, Jason, here's what I love. If the Celtics can get through, they're trying, obviously, for history in general, they're the freaking Celtics, but they're going for back-to-back. But if they're out, that's gone. And then if Denver's out, then Jokic trying to get his 2nd ring, that's done. You talk about new blood. If you're involved, if you like a new blood discussion, if we end up with the Knicks versus the Pacers on one side and Oklahoma City, Minnesota on the other side, all of those stars, think about the stars on those teams. Yeah. None of them have rings.
I tell you, that Minnesota team, they're scrappy, man. I mean, they got some good guard play. They got Rudy down the low. I mean, that's a tough team that's built for the playoffs. They got rim protection. So I don't know, man. I mean, Julius Randle. So I'm not sleeping on Minnesota at all. I know they were a 6 seed. They took down my Lakers. That's a really good team that I think, I don't know why they were such a low seed, but they're kind of a sneaky play for me to make a run at this thing.
And I dig Denver. I do. Jokic is a unique talent. But, man, if we get Edwards versus SGA in the Western Conference Finals, you talk about young talent that you get to watch, and they're both fighting for their first piece of jewelry. That would be incredible.
Yeah, it's been an exciting playoff season. Like I said, I've watched more playoffs this year for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Than I probably have in the last 10 years, honestly.
You might have a Game 7 in this series if Boston can stand up one more time, and that'd be so crazy. MSG is going to be such a barn tonight. It's going to be incredible. And then you definitely get the Game 7 in the West with Oklahoma City. Now it was Denver rather that forces the Game 7, and that one will be back in Oklahoma City, right, for Game 7. Yep. Yeah, because they're the 1 seed. So NBA going on as well. Wanted to get a little bit of Jason's thoughts there. All right, before we close the door, let's remind you that Specs is always with us. The Specs chat, for those of you, again, dealing with some of the recorded shows this week. We know you guys love the live chat, and we do too. And we love the super chats. Next week, the plan for House Divided is we're going to be live every day we can. I'm trying to get it set up where we can have Catch take some time off, but get you live shows. Jason and I are going to do Monday. I think Cody Carpentier's jumping in on Thursday. We're trying to get those other days figured out. And we do the 12 o'clock modcast, as you know, on Tuesdays. But hey, we love Specs. They bring you the chat, and they remind you that you might need to get stocked up. There's a tequila sale going on as we speak. Here you go.
It's tequila time. Who's ready for a margarita? Shake things up all month long with discounts on Blancos, Reposados, and Añejo tequila during Specs Tequila Sale.
All right, Jason, I appreciate the time. Please tell your wife that I appreciate the time. Y'all go decompress, have fun, see the kid, get away, because you know all that recruiting stuff is coming. So I appreciate the time today.
You got it, man. Glad to be here.
And remember, if you want to hear me and Jason just talk nothing but recruiting, that happens on Wednesdays. That show debuts Wednesdays at 10 a.m. It's the Recruiting Hour, brought to you by the good folks at Longhorn Wealth Management Group. Shout out to John and his crew. That's all we talk. It is recruiting front to back, because like I always say, recruiting never stops. And Jason never stops talking about it or thinking about it, unless he's having, hopefully, this meal today with his wife. Maybe they won't talk recruiting for that whole meal. One whole meal. Maybe he won't talk recruiting. So check that out. That, again, premieres Wednesdays at 10. We got a lot of good content for you on Orange Bloods Live. Football with Friends comes up. If you're watching us on Friday, either in that 12 o'clock spot when it premieres or a little later on, remember, Friday, 6 p.m. is Football with Friends. And then come Monday, you'll get that overreaction show at 9 a.m. like you always do with, I don't know, maybe Catch and Anwar, because, Catch can't really stay away. I'm going to try to get him to stay away from House Divided next week. We'll see how it goes. If y'all want to hear me finish some sentences, next week might be your week. Have a good weekend and take care of yourselves. This is Orange Bloods Live. See ya.